welcome to Podtoid. I'm CJ.
I'm Chris.
I'm Dan.
I'm Charlotte.
I'm Occams.
And this is episode 440. Good news, everyone. Our podcast was declared an essential business in the state of Florida, so we're able to keep going. We're going to be okay, you guys. And we have a really good show for you in store today. Nope, said that wrong again. Don't know why I can't get that line right. We have a good show for you today. We're going to be talking some Final Fantasy VII Remake, Murder by Numbers, which I'm very excited to hear about. And then a little bit later, we're going to be taking a look at the ESRB's plan to, and I use this term loosely, warn people about loot boxes. They released their plan this past week, and it sucks. Before we get into any of that, how are you guys doing this week?
Do you want the sugar-coated version, or do you want the true, raw facts of it?
Sugarcoat it, baby.
Oh, I'm doing okay.
Okay.
I'll just ditto that opinion.
Were you able to get out to see the boyfriend?
Nope.
Nope.
Well, it's like trying to decide when it's the right time or not. But in general, it's this week because I don't think I'm gonna be able to talk about this any other point in the podcast. So I'll just say ESA Together was fantastic. We raised more money for ESA and the affiliated events in the Netherlands and in the UK than we thought possible. And it's such a good community feeling. And then when it stopped on Monday, it was like crashing down back to earth because I didn't have a distraction anymore.
You're right.
And it's just, I've gone a bit insane this week. My brain has been in all sorts of different places and I can't concentrate on anything. And I've been keeping myself busy, but it's been a hard week. It's been, funnily enough, now that things are starting to get lifted, it's got hard this week for some reason. I'm not sure why.
Maybe because the liftings are taking so slow.
Possibly. Or just because now I'm not just in it and now I'm like reflecting on everything and it's just like, this has been the craziest month and a half of my entire life. What on earth was this time?
Yeah.
There's still a ways to go.
Yeah,
especially for your country and our country, Chris. Because, our leaders have just nailed the response to this thing. Oh my God, they should write textbooks about it. Oof.
Like, I don't picture things kind of being back to normal until like at least the start of autumn, easily. And even then, it's just that there's that initial kind of period of when everyone's allowed to go back out again and stuff. There's that initial period of that doesn't necessarily mean you should. Or that you should immediately go piling into rooms with tons and tons of other people. Do you know what I mean? There's not going to be a specific day where they go, everyone's fine, you're safe to go everywhere. So there's always going to be kind of this period of cautiousness even afterwards,
That's probably like a year away until we get to that, until, vaccine and shit's all out there. So, yeah, it's still going to be weird going forward. And I'm with you, Charlotte. This week has been weird because the whole situation has got, and I don't mean, this is going to sound terrible, it's got less fun. And obviously it wasn't fun beforehand. Obviously this has been a terrible situation, but I have found less stuff on the internet to amuse me and to distract me, and now it's just consistently enraging me and just making me think everyone is stupid. So I feel like the number of distractions to keep my mood elevated during these trying times are dwindling, and I fear that next week is only going to be worse than this week.
I kind of felt like that since day one. I think I said it about not even on the last show we did, but the one before.
I will say the one little bit of levity that I have found this past week are all the people now posting home haircut videos. Because you think these people have never gotten a haircut before or seen how it's done with how some of these styles are turning out. It's been amusing. I've seen someone use tape. That's all you need to know about how well prepared these people are to cut hair.
The thing is, though, countries that are slowly starting to open back up, like, for example, Denmark and my own country, one of the first things opening up is hairdressers. And, I speak as a person who only goes to the hairdresser twice a year. I'm like, is this really the risk you want to take? Either cutting your own hair or getting somebody you love to take that risk of cutting your hair and fucking it up. Just wait a little bit. Like, it's not an emergency.
One of the places on our phase 1 to open up here are gyms. Could you imagine going to a gym? Those are gross enough as it is.
I have enough worries about like getting like when I used to go to the gym, just like, you know, the bodybuilder type dudes who don't wipe down the machines, and it's just like you're getting covered in their ass sweat. Like there's no avoiding it. Can you get it through ass sweat? I don't know.
If you can get it through fart, you might be able to get it through ass sweat.
Rewind a little bit, CJ. How are they using tape to cut the hair?
So they're like holding it back, like putting tape on the hair to hold it back so they can clip underneath it.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not on a goddamn hairband?
I guess not.
So you'd have like a hairdresser say, like, put it in a bunch and hold it above your head and then snip like an undercut or whatever.
Yeah, or
they're basically just like
a clip or something.
They're basically just like sellotaping it to like the top of their head or whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
Just don't do it unless you're going for full cue ball, because you can't mess that up.
What I don't understand are the guys who are like, oh, I got to get my haircut. It's like, just go to a Walmart and buy some clippers. They're $20 and just go shave your head for a few months. Yeah. It's not that hard.
Absolutely don't get like the guy haircut thing where they could get my haircut. Dude, exactly. Just it's so dumb simple just to cut your hair. Just get drunk, get some trimmers, some shaver things, trimmers, put on some punk music, cut your hair. It's a rite of passage. You'll feel like you're in a movie. Pretend you're in Fight Club. It's got to be
punk music.
It does, absolutely. Also, I have found the cure for the COVID blues. Mm-hmm. It's a little potent combo: carbs and horror movies. Oh, what a delightful combination that is.
I went through a box of Pop-Tarts yesterday, so yeah, no, I'm enjoying the carbs as much as anyone else is.
What flavor?
Strawberry.
If you're gonna do the punk music route, though, don't listen to Trapped.
Oh my god, I don't even know what that's about.
They're threatening random people in DMs and stuff. I don't know. The band Trapped had a meltdown on Twitter, so 2020 is pretty wild. If you don't know who Trapped are, they did the hit song Headstrong, and that's about it.
But the thing is, who's not having a meltdown on Twitter nowadays? I feel like if you're not having a meltdown, you're not normal.
Sure, but like seeing a band have a meltdown on Twitter, it's something.
I feel like agoraphobes are doing okay.
I bet Howie Mandel's in heaven right now.
Oh God, I didn't even think about that.
I have like a synesthesia thing with him where I always put hair on his head every time I see him. I give him that little Puerto Rican Jerry curl he had in the 80s.
Oh, on what was it, Saint Elsewhere? I think that's what he was. Yeah. I tried to find stories to start the show off with, but everything is just COVID and everything is getting more and more awful. But I did come across two. You guys remember a few weeks ago I told you about the person who went out and bought a bunch of hand sanitizer and toilet paper and then had their PayPal account suspended and couldn't do anything with it and ended up being seized by the, I guess, the National Guard or the state so they could send it to the hospitals. That's happened again. And this time it happened in Australia where a guy bought $10,000 worth of toilet paper and hand sanitizer, had his eBay account suspended, and then tried to go and return it to the store. And the manager of the store actually put out a video on YouTube where he said that he gave the guy the finger when he tried to return the stuff to the store. So good on that manager. And, screw that guy with his 150 32 packs of toilet paper. Enjoy sitting on those for a while.
Quite literally, because he's going to have to turn it into furniture or something.
That's basically it, yeah. He's going to have a room that's like a ball pit, except it's toilet paper.
I managed to buy some hand sanitizer this week for the first time since this started, and I felt like Homer Simpson when he's 50 foot tall and completely covered in gold. Look closer, Lenny.
And then there was this other story from just a few days ago. From the state of Indiana, where the government, like most other businesses, are now hosting meetings over Zoom. I don't know if you guys use Zoom. We use WebEx at my company, so we don't get all the cool backgrounds that they have on Zoom. But they started doing their meetings through Zoom, and they decided to try also doing public meetings through Zoom, which means that anyone can join, and they don't really have to show their face. They could show other parts of their body, and that's exactly what happened during the Indiana, and I got to make sure I say this right, Election Commission, where as soon as the meeting started, a guy decided to join, and yes, he was masturbating.
Oh no! But I just knew where this was going immediately. Oh no!
It's a public video meeting. What's the worst that can happen? It's because that's what's going to happen.
See, that's their fault for allowing video of other people.
Yeah,
that's just a tempting fate.
It would have been worth it though if Joe Buck was there to do play-by-play commentary of the masturbation. Throw back to the last show.
Well, like, I mean, you know, we've done the best part of 100 episodes. I don't even know now. I lost count. But it's just one endless slog. But all I can say is you should all just be really grateful that this is an audio podcast. Like, if we bring webcams into this, you're in for a big surprise. Seriously.
Well, not that big, but.
My dog would be very annoying on webcam.
That's your dog?
He
has a squeaky toy, and it's the worst possible time to be fucking running into my room with a squeaky toy. So,
well, you just need to oil the hinge on a door.
All right, let's go ahead and get talking about games. And Dan, we're going to start with you. You've been playing through the Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah, well, I fend off my dog here. Let me talk about Final Fantasy VII. Haven't played the original in like over a decade. But right off the bat, without doing any context or spoilers, this thing goes hard in some weird new directions that I didn't expect. Sephiroth, for example. I hate this. Sephiroth is back in a whole new way with a lot of flashbacks because I guess they had to get top billing for that guy again.
Yeah, he's voiced by Lizzo. That's what I heard.
There we go. I really should have shut the door, but then he would have barked, which probably would have been less worse than this. But anyways, I'm liking the combat. I was kind of dreading the combat initially because I thought it'd just be like Final Fantasy 15, where you kind of just hold down a single button to perform combos. But no, it's not that, thankfully. It's more Kingdom Hearts, and you can swap between magic spells and abilities and stuff like that. And a lot of that is a great blend of like modern and new stuff. I mean, modern and old stuff. Sorry, jeez. But yeah, overall, I do question some of the filler. A lot of it is just, it feels like, hey, yeah, go find these cats with Tifa for about 40 minutes. Have fun. I'm like, all right, I can maybe do without this, but okay. So some of the filler is very much that filler, but otherwise, a lot of the stuff they expand on is pretty neat. But there is also some new stuff that I can't go into that is a hard right turn in a direction that is so melodramatic in Nomura, it kind of made sense, I guess.
Is that the final chapter that everyone's writing thought pieces about?
No, like they go into this like maybe like an hour or so in, they go hard into like, here's some new shit that's throws everybody for a loop.
I know that in the demo, it ended with a cutscene that differed from what they did in the original. So I think that should have been good indication there that they were going to change up substantially.
It's not even a matter of like changing up things to with no spoilers or context. We're in for some new shit, I think. I think they're teasing a potential follow-up, I guess, without giving any kind of context to that.
Well, I mean, they still have 2/3 of the game left to remake, so, I mean...
Yeah, but I'd had a funny feeling these later parts are going to be something different.
Huh.
Think of it like the Evangelion movies. That's probably the best comparison I can do. If you've seen Evangelion and then you've seen the movies, this kind of takes a similar approach in how they're going about it and changing shit. So,
okay.
Do you think Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 will be similar to Part 1, where it's all taking place in a single location? Like, if this one is all in Midgar, then the next one is all at Gold Saucer?
I don't know if it'd be all at Gold Saucer, because I think they already have a bit of Gold Saucer in this, I think.
Mm.
I think. I'm only on chapter 8 right now out of, like, I believe 18 chapters. I'm only roughly about not even halfway quite yet, and I think Gold Saucer's in this already, so I think if part 2 is going to be more of the open world-ish area, like where we're just completely out of Midgar and all that, so I think, anyways. But early on, like they like I said, they go hard into some of the new stuff, like teasing some very new ideas.
Well, I guess we'll find out in 2027 when part 2 is complete.
Yes. That was my joke.
Well, there you go.
I was giving you the silence to make it.
and the jokes being done by other people. This is going great.
Oh my god.
Oh, that squeaking's amazing.
It sounds like a parakeet has written you a love song.
The worst part is, if I take it away from him, it's really antsy.
So I guess we just have to live with it. All right. I'm looking forward to playing that game sometime in the future. I don't know. I'm trying to go through my collection right now, and I have too many games. Too many games that are too long. But let's go ahead and move on. Chris, what have you been doing?
I've been playing a bunch of games. Not a whole lot for myself, more kind of stuff for the site. But a couple of weeks ago, I think before we took sabbatical, I played Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Campaign Remastered. I think that's its full name. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare 2 Campaign Remastered. I don't know. But that's pretty good. That's still like just a really entertaining, bombastic, harrowing, Michael Bay, tonally all over the place blast. But it's kind of cool. It as I said in my review, it's aged very well. And I'm currently playing a couple of games. I'm playing Sega's Sakura Wars, which is their soft reboot of the strategy series. That I don't think we got a lot of those titles over here.
I think just one.
Well, I mean here in England, like I can't even remember which ones we got. Like I think because you guys got. Did you guys get just kind of like the one of them? I'm not even sure if we got one. I can't remember. But
I think we just got the last one. So Long, My Love, or Sakura.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. So this one's blatantly. I can't talk totally about it because it's still under embargo. But there is kind of a few things I can say about it. Although I won't talk about kind of what I feel about the game so far, I will say that this is blatantly a jumping off point. It's blatantly we know you haven't played any of the others, so just start here. Like it's very much this soft reboot where, although it acknowledges that there's been other games and acknowledges characters from them, it starts off kind of exposition-y, only a little bit though, and then straight away it's like, here's a bunch of new people, and here's how the world works, and get to it. It clearly wants you to just kind of pick it up, having no prior knowledge of the series. So that's kind of what it's going for. But my review of that should be coming a little over a week, I think. And other than that, I'm playing something else, which I can't talk about at all, that may involve some streets and a certain modicum of rage. But I can't tell you what game it is.
Could you give us any more hints? Like maybe 4 more hints?
4 more? I don't know. No. I can't even tell you the genesis of where these games began.
Oh, God.
That reminds me, the axle on my car broke.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to play.
After driving it through that blaze, I don't know.
I'm so glad Altered Beast got remastered. Whoops.
Dan, shh. Fucking embargoes.
Remember that time I ran over that kid who was rollerblading?
Oh yeah, he was skating, and also Streets of Rage 4.
Okay.
And that's been about it.
I was on Twitter one day, and I was browsing through just the random comments on random things, and I came across somebody who said that Anthem was their favorite game ever, and I thought, man, you live on a lonely island of that opinion, and God bless you for it.
I do think about that sometimes, just the concept of like every game and every movie like is someone's favorite.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's someone out there who's like, you say to them, like, what film can you watch over and over again till the end of time? And it's like Weekend at Bernie's 2 or something.
That's not a bad sequel for the premise.
No. Well, fair enough. Okay,
if they said like White Chicks, I'd be like, wow.
Let me put it another way. There's someone out there who you'll say to them, "Oh, I can watch this film again and again and again to the end of time," and they'll say Ready Player One.
Okay, yeah. I believe that person is my nephew. Unfortunately.
God, what an uncouth asshole.
I know. Speaking of uncouth assholes, did you see what Disney Plus did to Daryl Hannah's butt in Splash?
Such a shame.
No. What's this?
So there's a scene in it where it's Daryl Hannah, right? Occams?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Where she and Tom Hanks are on the beach and she runs in the water and she's completely naked, so you see her butt. But because it's now on Disney Plus, they went through and added what's supposed to be like an extension of her hair to cover up the butt, but it's so poorly done, it looks like a Furby is crawling out of her asshole. It's just all of this brown hair that moves with her ass and not with her hair. It's pretty incredible.
Because she's one of those Mormon mermaids.
Here's a scene that's a butt is hardly nudity in the first place, but it's literally offending nobody, and you're going to spend money to put this really shitty CGI hair over her butt. So what is the worst that's going to happen here?
You know, they put out The Little Mermaid on Blu-ray, and there's a bit during the Part of Your World sequence where they show two shots in the wrong order, and that's just like, and it kind of causes a lip sync problem. So I just think Disney have got a problem with mermaids. They're just like sabotaging all mermaid pictures, basically.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's why they hired Melissa McCarthy to be in the Little Mermaid live remake. Just trying to sabotage it.
Who is she playing?
She's playing Ursula.
Fuck you. Are you serious?
Last I heard, yeah, she was playing Ursula.
Ugh, that's great. So it's like Lady Paul Blart Mall Cop is going to be Ursula. Awesome.
Yeah.
Jesus. That genuinely bums me out because I love Ursula. It's a great villain.
Yeah, definitely.
Melissa fucking McCarthy.
A great villain who's based off of Divine, a drag queen. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good haircut though. That haircut has stayed relevant for a long time.
Yeah, that is the go-to butch lesbian haircut for 30 years now.
Yeah. Got the Marsha Warfield updo. I like it.
I believe Tyne Daly got that haircut in 2006 and never looked back.
She really did. She should copyright that shit. Trademark. Whatever.
I've spent the last 2 weeks still going at Animal Crossing. I've also played a little bit of... I'm trying to beat my backlog because I had a little gaming existential crisis where I looked at and I had 4,000 hours worth of gaming that I still had to beat. And I'm just like, what am I doing? What is going on with me? So I started getting into that, and I started playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2 for Switch. But mostly I've been playing Animal Crossing, and we had the bunny day just passed over Easter, so Zipper is no longer in anyone's islands. And we're kind of just waiting for Arbor Day to come up. I believe that's this week, in which case the character Leaf may or may not return. But we've kind of hit this point, and I've been playing since February, where we're reaching the point where we're running out of new stuff to experience in this game. There are a lot of objects that we can still be getting and new crafting recipes to get. And those will continue because, there's an endless supply of those, hopefully. I'm still finding new things in Nook's Cranny every day. But as far as new characters, they've all but dried up. All of the characters who are currently new characters that are currently in the game right now, they're kind of just replacements for old characters. So Flick and CJ, they just take the place of, I can't remember the old lizard's name or the old otter's name. Carl, Chris, Kalula, I don't know. They're just filling in old roles, and that's what basically everyone new is doing in this game. And I wrote about this in a short op-ed, and one of the comments that I got was addressing that, instead of focusing on the old characters who aren't there, focus on the new characters, which I want more of them. Because just because there are old characters who haven't shown up yet, that I'm kind of waiting for, I would still like to see what else is new. And I think right now, in the early days of this game, the biggest problem is that they haven't really introduced any new characters who are doing anything substantially new. Everyone who is here, who is new, is just doing something that's old, be it, selling you turnips, holding a fishing or bug catching tournament or whatever. And we haven't seen anyone yet that is just bringing like a new concept to the Animal Crossing series. And so, as I enter, the full second month of playing this, that's kind of what I'm looking for, because as of right now, every time I boot it up, it's just to catch fish I've already caught, catch bugs I've already caught, sell them, get bells, and fix up my island. And I kind of want there to start being more. And we haven't got a confirmation from Nintendo yet that there's a lot of stuff coming that's going to be downloadable, that's not in the game right now, that was in past games. So, I brought up Brewster and his coffee shop, which has been in the series since Wild World. There's no guarantee that is going to be like downloadable content, or if it's just so buried in the game that you have to play for a long time to unlock it. Either way, I think we're really starting to hit a lull that would be avoided if we simply had more stuff to do than just right now what is the bare minimum they're offering.
The lack of Nintendo stuff too kind of bites.
Yeah. I know that there were people who were upset that some of the characters that were Nintendo themed from New Leaf didn't make it in, but those guys weren't added until the Amiibo update, in which you use the Amiibo. And so I know that people were kind of hoping that they'd be in there from the beginning, but obviously they're not. They may be added in at a future time. I think if you buy the game a year from now, you're going to have the best experience with it, because everything will be in the game if they're adding stuff through updates outside of holidays. All right, moving on. Occams, what is this Last Claudia?
The Last Claudia. It's an iPad game that I picked up randomly. It's free, and it's just kind of a fun little RPG. There's a gotcha mechanic thing where it literally says gotcha, and you can, when you play missions, it requires these blue souls and that are tied to your abilities. But I've never had any issue with having them to play a level. But like the story is actually halfway decent. It's kind of a pixel art style, and it's very kind of tropey. There's like the eager kid who maybe has a mysterious past. He's like the young little hero, and his buddy named Ray is a giant, sort of looks like a kind of gray werewolf with one giant wing. Who has amnesia, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, but it's a decent story, and it's fun. And they build a lot of in the submissions you do, they build a lot of little character moments, and surprisingly, really good soundtrack. Even if everything I've just told you about this game sounds like shit, check out the soundtrack. It's really good, especially for a free iPad game. Reminiscent of some of the earlier Final Fantasy soundtracks, but with more orchestral type music. It's really good.
I think I've heard a lot of free-to-play games that have really good soundtracks to them. For some reason, it's the one thing that they get so right when their monetization systems are so wrong.
Yeah. I am, and I've been playing this game for a while now, and I have yet to have any problem with anything. I haven't had to spend any money. I haven't had to do any. Nothing has required me to move on to spend hard cash. So, and right. Again, it's just, even if you skip all of the I want to grind for characters. If you just want to do the single player campaign, you start out with characters. You can play the whole game with them. The high end stuff is mostly, from what I've read, arena, PvP. There's not a whole lot of in game content as far as I can tell. There's some kind of a tower challenge you can unlock that I think people are trying to build the perfect team for. But for the story itself, everyone seems to just kind of play that, and there's no real weirdness there. And it's fun. It's like I said, it's very pretty, and the soundtrack's great. And so that's what I've been playing this week. And I watched a movie I want to talk about. It's called The Vineyard, and this was a Vinegar Syndrome release. Oh boy. All right. So I'm going to read you the description from Wikipedia, and it does not do it justice. So it's
Okay.
winemaker Dr. Elson Poe fears that he is getting too old, so he uses the blood of his prisoners to make his world famous wine. Asking his God for eternal life, he drinks his wine and becomes young again. A group of young actors come to his mansion over 1 week to audition for his purported winemaking film. Winemaking film. The seven guests soon find out the secret of his wine and must escape. All right, this stars James Hong, as many of you will know as Lo Pan from Big Trouble in Little China. This was made 3 years after Big Trouble in Little China, and he essentially plays Lo Pan again. There's even like some of the dialogue is very similar. Like even when he's like Qing Dao, God of the East, I think he just says like Dao Qing, God of the West. I mean, it's really kind of pulls from that.
And if you don't know who James Hong is, watch any movie with Asian people and he's in it.
Yeah, he
is the like hardest working man in showbiz. Sorry, James Brown, but James Hong has like an IMDb profile that's longer than a dictionary.
Yeah, he has over I think 300 credits to his name. He's 92, which I did not know, and still doing shit. And he's an amazing character actor, and he's been in Blade Runner. He's been in tons of stuff. He's awesome. But he made this movie. He co-wrote it and co-directed it. And watching it, I sort of get the feeling like he just wanted to grab on some white girl titties, because he grabs on a whole lot of white girl titties during this movie. And it's like any good B-level kind of horror movie. There's tons of nudity and really, really poor action scenes and gore. And a lot of the plot's just not explained. Like there are zombies on the island that just are there. They're never like there's at no point are the zombies like created or acknowledged other than when they have to like pour special powder to keep them at ease. And even one of his henchmen is like, hey, Dr. Poe, we should probably move. Like our zombie garden's pretty full and they're coming up all the fucking time. We should probably move some of them off the island. And he's like, no. Like, I don't know why. They clearly did not have much of a script, and I think they just want an excuse to party at this vineyard. It is a dumb movie. It's super fun. I highly recommend it. Again, James Wong does an amazing performance, and it's actually I found this streaming app. I'm watching it on PS4. It's called Tubi, Tubi.
I have that.
Yeah, they have an amazing catalog. Like if you like Full Moon Pictures, Vinegar Syndrome, Arrow Video, stuff like that. They have tons of their releases completely free. Now the movies do have ads about it, every half hour, 45 into the film. It doesn't really break up the action too much, especially with these movies where there's you could take a break and like run a Taco Bell and jerk off and take a nap, then pick up the movie, and you wouldn't have missed much of anything. And completely free, and it's awesome. And there are a whole bunch of releases that I've wanted to see for years and haven't been able to find, or don't want to pay $50 for a fancy schmancy re-release on Blu-ray, and they're there. And so that's how I was able to see this. And again, highly recommend it. Very funny, very silly, tons of 80s tropes, a lot of cocaine, bad acting. The actors talk over each other a bunch, which is just, I love when they do that. And yeah, it's cool. It's a great movie. The Vineyard. Check it out.
Actors talking over one another is an Aaron Sorkin theme, so maybe they were just really ahead of their time.
There was a good half the movie was walk and talk. So
yeah. I will second you on the Tubi. I have that on my TCM. I can't remember what kind of TV I have. It's a great little movie app. So yeah. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up with Charlotte. Charlotte, you've been playing Murder by Numbers.
Yeah.
I don't know why I had to say it like that.
So I originally thought this was a Switch game and that I'd have to get a Switch to play this, but then I found out by accident that it's actually on Steam, so that made things a lot easier, obviously. So I decided to buy it and give it a go. So it's basically a bit like a cross between Phoenix Wright and oh god, I can never say this. Is it Picross or it's Picross, right?
Yeah, it's
like the puzzle.
Yeah, sure.
Picross.
Yeah. Picross. Okay. It's interspersed with those puzzles, and those puzzles are sort of like when you're investigating an area, you find an object by doing a Picross puzzle to reveal what it is. And so that's basically the guts of it. You're this TV actress who played a detective, and suddenly you are a detective because, without going into too much detail, somebody on your set dies in suspicious circumstances, and you have to take the blame away from yourself. And the story just follows on from there, and she gets into more scrapes and ends up acting like a detective. So the story, I think that's like how much I can reveal without getting into spoiler territory. The story is good. It's definitely serviceable. It's not the best story I've ever come across, but it's entertaining enough, and it's got some interesting themes in it. A little bit cliched here and there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a character in it. The best friend character is a flamboyant gay sidekick from the UK, so that is a bit like it's very stereotypical, but it's he's still a very nice, and as far as I've played so far, even though he's a bit of a stereotype, he's still a very interesting character. So yeah, I'm not super enamored with the story, but it's enough to keep playing. With the puzzles, I'm actually pleasantly surprised, because I had a feeling that this game was going to be for people who don't play Picross regularly, and that they'd be how do I say this without sounding like an arsehole? They'd be too easy for me, because I play Picross all the time. The Jupiter games for the DS and the 3DS, I played a lot of those and put hours and hours and hours into them. So yeah. I thought that this would be pitched at people who haven't played Picross before. And definitely the first case, maybe the first half of the first case, was pleasantly easy, but it ramps up pretty quickly, and I've made mistakes on a couple of puzzles. So it's really pitched really well with difficulty. It's not rock hard. I think new people will still manage to do the puzzles, but also it's got a very generous sort of hint system. It does knock down your score, but the hint system is there if you need it, so you're not just going to get stuck and not be able to progress. I've seen people complain that it's hard to actually find the puzzles at some point, because you have to like hover your cursor around until it turns red. When it turns a solid block of red, that's when you can select it and start the puzzle. But I don't know. I was expecting to have trouble with that because of the graphics card thing, but that's worked absolutely fine for me as well.
Picross is my absolute favorite genre of puzzle game, so it's nice to know that there are good Picross puzzles to be had in it. And I'll probably look at it down the line, maybe with a price drop, even though it's only $15 right now.
Just to point out how hardcore I am with Picross, I used to do them on pen and paper. You can get puzzle books with them in, and I used to like color in the squares with like a pencil. But the only problem with that is, like, even with a pencil, when you've colored over the wrong square, there's no going back. So this is definitely the better way to play Picross, is digitally and not on pen and paper, with pen and paper.
Now, the gay sidekick, how stereotypical are we talking on a scale of Jack from Will and Grace to Luke Evans?
He's a hairdresser.
Okay, that settles it right there. Okay.
Now, hairdresser or makeup artist, I forget which one of the two, or maybe both.
Now I'm just picturing, I think it's The Rock, where the movie The Rock, where Sean Connery is like in the hotel room, he's getting the haircut from the hairdresser, and then they're under attack, and they're in the elevator, and the hairdresser's just like, well, do you like the haircut? And I was just like, oh, I hate that faggot so much right now. And I can say that.
This is Podtoid.
All right, let's go ahead and move on. That is it for games, which means it is time for the news.
This is the news.
And we've been off for 2 weeks, and there's been a decent amount of new information that has come out in that time. We got some much needed release dates for games like SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated or Streets of Rage 4, which Chris may or may not possibly be totally, absolutely, maybe not, never playing. We found out that the remake of Resident Evil 4 might touch down in 2022 with no mention of a remake of Code Veronica. It's also being done by the same people who did, allegedly, according to the rumors, Resident Evil 3 Remake, so feel free to base your expectations for it off of that game. But one of the bigger stories of the past week or so has been that the ESRB is going to start warning shoppers about loot boxes, sort of, or not really. It was announced that the ESRB would start adding the term, quote, includes random items to games that feature loot box in-game purchases, which has just got to be the most anemic phrasing possible to describe what is more or less gambling. According to a blog post, the ESRB chose not to include the term loot boxes because that is a term that is known by people who are familiar with the gaming industry and is relatively unknown to those who are not familiar with it. And it also believes that parents are far more concerned about their kids' ability to spend money on games rather than the fact that those games, those in-game purchases, rather, may be randomized. Boy, that just sounds like a bunch of bullshit.
Sounds like a bunch of we had to send this to numerous publishers for clarification and due processing, and we came out with this result.
Yeah.
Great.
This is like they went with the Frank Luntz school of renaming bad shit just in order to make it as palatable as possible, because
it'll really help with those informed parent buying decisions.
Yes,
that's kind of the point here, is that that's the story. The story is there's going to be another sentence written on somewhere on the back of the box. That's the story. That's not going to change anything. It's not going to change anything.
And to get more information about what these random in-game purchases might be or what that means, you have to go to the ESRB website and find this little 3 sentences on it. And basically, when you go to the rating page, you have to scroll basically all the way to the bottom.
That reminds me so
just
much
to find out
of the Final Fantasy. I think it was Final Fantasy IX's strategy guide. I forget what it was called, Share Online or something online.
Oh.
Remember that, where you had to beat this boss, check out and it's that thing. It's that I fucking hate that.
I do remember that. I do remember that being, and it's weird that this would have any sort of, this distinction would exist, but that is the most hated player's guide ever released just because they did that shit.
Yeah, listeners, if you're not familiar with the Final Fantasy IX strategy guide, Google it. It was I lived it, and it was an interesting experience, to put it mildly.
But by asking people to Googling it, you're doing what the Final Fantasy IX strategy guide
it was a time of experimentation.
Well, it is. That's a very good point, Chris. I guess what I mean by that is to you could look at pictures of it to see the actual guide, but essentially what it was we bought this game. We always bought for Final Fantasy and RPGs. We bought the game. We bought the guide. We bought the guide because this was back before the internet was readily available to actually look up just information. No YouTube, but also because we wanted to keep it because it had the art and everything. It was an artifact for the game itself. Final Fantasy IX, we get it, so it's okay, well, here's how to beat this boss, and the strategy is, if you want to find out, go to this website. And it was them pushing a website onto everybody. It's like when fucking Apple just threw that YouTube album on everyone's iPod. It was infuriating because they literally cut out huge important portions of the game for strategies and where to find secret weapons and different things, and put it behind this website that no one wanted to go to. So yeah, it was maddening. But go ahead.
I own it, and I bought it as a collector item for the hell of it, and it very much comes off as we have a website now, and they're really excited about it. And,
does anyone know if the links still work?
Does not.
No, they don't.
Oh, okay. It'd be funny if they just, for some bizarre legal reason, they just had to pay for that server space for perpetuity, just because.
It just goes to a looping gif of Tub Girl, and for listeners, you can Google that.
There are so many good websites that just don't exist anymore. TimeCube is gone, and that one in Aqua Teen Hunger Force where it's I got me some free medicalwaste.com, that used to exist and now it just doesn't exist anymore, which is really sad.
You can try the Wayback Machine.
Yeah, but You the Man Now Dog is back.
I know, that made me so happy.
But yeah, I'm gonna miss Brady games, like legitimately. I miss guidebooks. I was very much the type of person who bought a guidebook for every Final Fantasy release, every RPG, like any kind of big open world-ish game, probably buy a guidebook.
I have a bunch of hardcover guidebooks for the last 4 Zelda games. I don't know why I have them. I've never once opened them.
They're fun. They're, like I said, they're fun artifacts for a series you enjoy. That's. I still have, like, I'm looking at my shelf now. I have my original Chrono Trigger. I'm name dropping. Humor me. And I have my original Earthbound, and I have the Final Fantasy III guide that I ordered when the game came out, and I cherish those because they're.
Oh, sorry.
Let's say they're intrinsically tied to the experience I had with those games.
The last notable guide I bought was for Phantom Pain, the hardcover of that, and like the art in it is still incredible. But like that's about it. That was pretty much my last major guidebook purchase.
Occams, I just want to let you know I just Googled what Tub Girl is, and you're fired. Just throwing that out there.
All right. Well, I'm sorry, and please, whatever you do, don't Google Lemon Party.
I was gonna say.
It's my favorite line. God. It's my favorite line from 30 Rock. You can't have a lemon party without old Dick. All right, our next story has to do with the PlayStation 5. We still don't know a lot about it, but we were given our first look at the DualSense controller that was revealed recently, which has had a mixed reception. I like the design of it, but I can understand why people don't. What's the temperature in this room of this room? Like we're all in the same place of the DualSense controller. What are you guys feeling?
I like it. I'm warm on it.
Yeah.
Okay, that works. More specifically, Bloomberg came out with news this week with a report that should temper expectations for a massive launch of the PlayStation 5. Basically, game developers who are working with the hardware expect the console to be pretty expensive at launch, going between $500 and $600 or $499 just to make it sound cheaper. As such, Bloomberg is expecting just 5 million consoles will be produced by March 2021, which, depending on when the PlayStation 5 launches, would be about 1 million a month out there on the market. The ongoing COVID-19 pandemic will also affect the launch, though according to the report, it will mostly hamper their advertising plans. I read another report this week that said that Sony was satisfied with its launch lineup for the PlayStation 5, so I'm really looking forward to the big reveal to see what kind of titles they're satisfied with, because I remember the PlayStation 4 did not have a good launch lineup, yet somehow managed to be the best console or the best selling console of this past generation. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do with a launch lineup that includes good games rather than just was it Resistance?
Oof.
No, it wasn't Resistance.
No, it was Knack. It was Knack.
What's the other first-person shooter they have?
Killzone. Killzone Shadowfall.
There it is. That's right. Killzone. Yeah.
Wow.
Oof.
Killzone Shadowfall wasn't half bad, but Knack wasn't
half good either.
I didn't get the Knack.
My Sharona. Okay, now that's said. Let's go. I wonder though if they're thinking, the first thing that comes to my mind when I think like they're satisfied with the lineup, maybe they have a reveal. I kind of I just out of nowhere kind of thinking the next God of War.
I'm thinking along the lines of it's going to have Horizon Zero Dawn 2.
Ooh,
I'm thinking we're going to get the Order 1886 sequel thing.
That was such a good game.
Yeah,
for like the 6 hours it lasted. God, I love that game.
There's been like talk and murmurings about that. I got a funny feeling that'll probably be a launch title. I'm hoping for Gran Turismo 7, but I doubt it.
I was going to say with the Order, they should just go forward 100 years and make it the Order 1986. That'd be fucking wicked.
Yeah.
Chris, copyright that idea.
Register that domain name right now.
Yeah, get a website up, get a domain up. You'll make some fat cash.
Yeah, because the Order 1886 fucking sold so well.
Oh yeah. But I'm hoping Gran Turismo 7 is launch title. This is I feel like that would also really make a compelling argument for those haptic feedback triggers and stuff as well. That'd be really nice to showcase that kind of stuff. But I have my doubts. It's been up in the air for 1 billion years.
Help an old man in training. What the hell is haptic feedback?
It's essentially the triggers will work against your fingers or can be programmed to work against your fingers in terms of strength. So if you want the trigger to just go to be really, really loose and soft, no worries. But if instead they want it to represent, say, pulling back a bow or pulling a trigger on a gun, then game developers will be able to strengthen the resistance in the buttons, basically.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it made things like shooting a bow feel slightly more tense, I guess. As it were. Yeah, and it would be neat in driving games as well.
Yeah, that's one of the things. I mean, not just because you brought it up, but I've seen a lot of people mention that haptic feedback is a must for driving games played with a controller, and if you're not going to get the specific wheel and gas pedal controller accessories that you can get. Do they even still make those? I think they do.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Logitech still has tons of pedal setups and wheel setups, and I'm sure they'll make new ones for the new consoles as well.
Like I said, they got to keep supporting those Forza games.
Yeah. Forza, and that's about it, because Gran Turismo's just been on hiatus for a billion years.
I was going to say, although this is kind of a different point, it's also worth remembering, like, lest we forget that PlayStation, how much the PlayStation 4 launch was helped by like the atrocious job Microsoft did of promoting the Xbox One.
Yeah.
So, what it wasn't, PlayStation 4 had a pretty rough launch in terms of kind of the games and stuff. But I already knew where my money was going after that fucking bullshit they tried to pull. And they eventually went back on, but the damage was done with like the Xbox One. So I don't see Xbox making the same mistake this time, but it'll be interesting to see if there's more of a kind of a, I don't want to say a console war, but you know what I mean, at launch, rather than last time when everyone, where so many people were like, well, fuck Microsoft.
See, the thing that's interesting about this launch is, compared to the last generation, is because the last generation was, in terms of hardware, it was already outdated out of the box, but we're going again with a 7th generation approach where seemingly the new Xbox, the new PlayStation are like cutting edge as hell, and also probably going to be really expensive, and it'll be really interesting to see how that sells.
Well, one of the other reports I read this week, and this is just, again, more rumors, because that's what everything is at this point, is that Microsoft has a cheaper version of the Series X console up its sleeve that it's waiting to reveal. And so there may be the more expensive version, and then they may also launch with a light version right away. Again, it's just rumor, and it could just be that they're going to release certain ones on a payment plan because they've done that before. But yeah, I think the longer that Sony holds off on announcing it, it's just going to continue to build up these rumors swelling of what it is and what both companies have in store. So
I think essentially it's just like a weird game of chicken, isn't it, between the two? Yeah. That's what it is. I'm pretty sure by now they both know what they're retailing for. Like, the fucking things are supposed to be out in less than half a year or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So so they know, and they know what they look like, and they've got their models ready, and they've got the fucking launch dates, prematurely written because we don't know how long the COVID-19 pandemic's going to go on for. But they know their prices, and and now it's just this very weird, like, creeping forward thing where we're getting these kind of reports because no one's pulling the trigger. Right, no one's pulling the haptic feedback trigger and releasing like what the price is going to be.
Sony are also kind of notorious for this as well, though. Like, they've always had that approach of like waiting and then announcing their price. They pulled the same shenanigans with the original PlayStation.
That's right.
Iconic E3 moment, and they pulled it again with the PS4. I got a good feeling they're trying their damnedest to wait out Xbox.
But I think the thing is, we've talked about this before. It's a different environment now than it was, especially when it was for the PS3 launch, but maybe even for the PS4. That maybe COVID has changed this a little bit as well, but more people buy consoles and have an entire professional setup to play them and want to spend a huge amount of money on gaming.
That is
like
true.
The average gamer is a lot older and a lot more willing to spend cash that they've got from their job on the gaming hardware. So, and people will want something high tech because they'll want to be able to run it on their 4K, 8K, whatever TV and for it to look awesome. So it's just not the same, like, retailing expensive in a way adds premium to stuff rather than being necessarily a downside. But on the other hand, now that COVID means that a lot of the people who would have spent a lot of money on games might not have that disposable income anymore. It's a very weird time. I would have said if COVID wasn't a factor, then there is no shame in retail anything at like $500 anymore, because there's just that many people who will have their massive setups with their 4K whatever TV. So, you know.
No, I agree.
It's a great point. I will say that if the only way it becomes very important is if they announce Bloodborne 2.
Yeah. He said, not having actually played more than an hour of Bloodborne. Yeah, no, I agree.
CJ, you're fired.
Yeah, I know.
This is Podtoid.
All right, we are just about out of time for the show, but before we go, Occams, do we have a shout-out this week?
We do. We got a couple, actually. We got a few birthday shout-outs. And I have one note on here. I'm not sure if it's old or not. I'm just going to go with it. But it's Admiral Akbong's birthday. It was. This is over the 2 weeks, too. And I'm 100% sure I missed someone's birthday. I do apologize, but I'm going to try to keep notes as best I can. Admiral Akbong, happy birthday. Neuronium, happy birthday. And this is a fun one. Palvic in Q. Palvic in Q. Palv Kink Q. Happy birthday. So there's some happy birthday shout outs. And then, yeah, just in general, you know, the community just trying to stay sane. I see a lot of movie recommendations, music recommendations, which is always fun. So shout out to the community in general as well.
That is it for this episode of Podtoid. On behalf of Dan, Chris, Occam, Charlotte, and myself, thank you for listening. And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Podbean, or to the Destructoid YouTube channel.